Good evening.
Yeah.
Giancarlo Baraggio. I am a resident and a taxpayer of Washington Township.
Mr. Michael?
Hello,
Mike? Yes.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
My question is in regard to the full-time business administrator. It's been over a year that we've been having a full-time one. And how do you feel about not having one? Question number one. Question number two is, what is the status of that? Or you're continuing with what we have right now? With an interim one? No offense, like, or are you looking to hire full-time and an experienced one? You have a budget coming up, and all five of you, this is the first time for the majority of you of a budget. And during the last 7 years, we have seen millions, exactly $27.5 million used from surplus. And the mayor keeps on saying that she did not raise taxes. I don't know what surplus is, other than refer to it as residents' taxpayer savings account. But the mayor seems to use it as confetti and Mardi Gras. The last year, for example, was $6 million, just like the prior year, used from surplus. If the surplus is funded by the taxpayers, then we have been overtaxed by $6 million. I'll make a suggestion. Put the mayor on notice that there is no more discretionary spending until the budget is adopted. That will give you two things. You will not spend money that we don't have, and you will expedite the process of adopting the budget. Before you accept the budget, I suggest you tell the mayor to find the $6 million and reduce it from the budget. If that budget is now $6 million less than last year, don't accept it. If you do, then you need to do the work to reduce that kind of money. The more money you take from our pockets, the less we have to patronize our businesses. Our business community are losing a lot of businesses. We could have saved a lot of them with $27.5 million. So, I know that you're not answering right now, but for any reason, you were stopped by the lawyer who will tell you not to comment on the process of the business administrator. I would like to address, if I may, Councilman Devereux. Councilman Devereux, I know you longer than anyone else up there for a long time. If you cannot answer what's going on between the mayor and teamwork, as you're saying, put the team forward, I know that it's the mayor's assignment to come up with a business administrator with your consent. If you have any discussion, Mr. Devereux, if you can answer tonight over public, if we can meet after this meeting, or maybe even we can set up a meeting, I would like to interview you and let the people know through social media where we stand with that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Frio, one of the things I wanted to do since I took over was I wanted to be able to answer some questions or give everybody a chance to answer them, so you don't have to leave right away. Ms. Bakich, would you mind explaining to him how their surplus is used because the grant money has to be repaid, and why we use some of that money?
So, if I just can go briefly into surplus.
Just a quick overview.
It's not always appropriated and then appropriations not used on the budget side. Sometimes it's because when I put in or requested what revenues will also be, I've as me as the CFO position, I've always been very conservative on how much revenues we will get in certain situations, because many a times you can't truly dictate, let's say, for interest from idle funds. You can only somewhat put a number in that is an analysis of, let's say, the previous 3 years. So some of that surplus is also from revenues that were conservatively projected, and we actually did better. Some of those could be construction costs or permits, some of those were abandoned property fees. So some of the surplus wasn't truly taxed dollars. Meaning from putting in, say, we're, this department's gonna spend this much, and then it's taxing people for that large amount. It's not exactly how a surplus is 100% gained. And I can just talk briefly about the budget right now, is that I've just completed all of the interviews with all the department heads. So the budget is moving along. We should be able to introduce in the next meeting. So everything is kind of going, and I'm working with the mayor to go through every single solitary line item, making cuts where we can. It's the economic environment right now is very tough for everyone, and we definitely take that into consideration when reviewing the budget and the expenditures. For some expenditures that are necessary, gasoline, electricity, all those things for all of our buildings are necessary. And so we really have looked into every expenditure and where we can make cuts, especially. So I don't know does that answer a lot of your questions?
Well, you did a very great job in explaining how that's funded, which is not only through taxation, but through fees, but the question is, does that money belong to the taxpayers? Should that money benefit the taxpayers?
If I may, it does, some of those services that are provided through the budget do benefit the taxpayers. Meaning, let's go with just something simple like the park. The park being manned and managed, as well as the grass being cut, just visual things of maintenance. I mean, that does cost, and that is a benefit to the town. Now also other areas of the town that are actually managed also. That is just one department. You also have the police department. You know what I mean? We have to take care of our officers and their vehicles. I don't want to have anything bought and then us not maintain it, because really that's not really fiscally responsible either. So, some of the budget line items are necessary in order to maintain the products and or equipment that we already have. And some of those costs have gone up, which is out of our control. So that's where I've worked with every single department head and the mayor to make sure that we are reviewing all the costs truly, and where we can make cuts, and where there's some places that it is a little bit more difficult. We can't dictate the cost of gasoline. We cannot dictate the cost of electricity. Even in this building, we have lights that shut themselves off. So there has been ways to try to reduce costs in that way, at least for the utility costs.
One final question.
Sorry.
When the surplus was up to about $5.5 million about 5 years ago, I asked then the clerk, Leo Sal, to get me a list of expenses that adds up to $5.5 million. And he mentioned we don't have it in this form or that form. I want the form you have it, either in a spreadsheet, an email, written on a napkin. Just give me what you have, and I will put it all together to them. Now, I don't want to go back to the $27.5 million. That won't be fair to you. But since you did the budget last year, can you provide me a list that went up to $6 million of where the money went without bringing the lights and the gasoline and all that? Actually, when you paid that, where did that money go? And if that total will come up to $6 million. Is that possible?
Okay, so how the budget works is it's a zero-based budget, meaning you have to calculate how much revenue you're going to bring in, to how much them equal out to your expenditures, and they're supposed to equal. So there isn't anything specific that you say you're gonna put this money aside specifically for this. It's all really nets. So your net revenue is supposed to equal to your net appropriation. So there's not a list truly of, we're gonna, not like a grant. A grant has a revenue and a matching appropriation. In general, that's not how the whole budget works. So there isn't anything that actually says, here's the 6 million, this is everything that the 6 million is for on the budget side. So really, it's the budget document that you're looking for, because the first
Okay.
8, I think it's 9A, I think is the total revenues, and then
That
the
brings
extra budget.
me to another question.
Okay,
Why not do it through taxation rather than surplus? Why don't you calculate what you need and just collect the money from the taxpayers? Can you do that? Because that will look really bad for the mayor. An increase, because $6 million, $27.5 million, it comes up to about $5 million, 4.75 per year. And that's a double-digit increase of the $42 million budget. So if you add that to the taxpayers, then the taxpayers know exactly what they're paying, rather than some of these people have no idea what surplus is, where it comes from. I mean, to be, expose what we pay, that's what I'm saying. Is that possible? Because I remember the prior administration, they were using $500. 1.2 million was the most that was used by the prior administration from surplus. Now, is it that they did a better job in managing money? I don't know. Was it a better way to talk to residents, and we need to increase your taxes by this much? Because let's face it, every year you're going to be paying more. Inflation started from Adam and Eve. Everybody understands that 2% inflation. But when you talk about $6 million, that's a lot of money increase. So I want to thank everybody here, but as you said, with a teamwork, maybe we can make it happen.
We will try.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, John.
Sir.
President, I'd like to address one.
Okay.
Mr. D'Orazio,
Yes, sir.
to answer your own question, and I'm not sure it was particularly answered, there is an ongoing search. Resumes have been received for the business administrator's position. Council has been in contact and discussions with the mayor. We are actively looking for a business administrator. It's getting the qualified candidates to come in to, be interviewed. We are actively going to hire somebody at some point. As for the $6 million, Ms. Backus, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe some of that surplus from $6 million was used to offset taxes in the year to keep the tax rate at a specific rate. So taxpayer money that was, in surplus, that was used to benefit the taxpayers in some form to keep the tax rate at a low. Surplus is important, and it also affects what we can bond out, for certain services. If we need to, take a loan out or something like that, or bond something, we have to have the matching surplus. So council is cognizant and aware of the importance of the surplus, and I believe it would be our goal to try to increase that surplus. One of the things we have in our favor that is moving on in the future is the income from marijuana dispensaries. That we can use for various services as well, and hopefully increase the service, maybe even offset the tax rate a little bit more for the residents.
Mr. Brown, I believe this is your first year as a councilman.
It is.
What did you do to research what happened last year with the $6 million?
Review the budget.
Yeah, because you just explained that that was needed. And what kind of research did you do from last year's budget to justify it?
I looked at the budget, the line items, I looked at the way things were applied in the budget, and I asked questions.
So do you foresee going forward, could we stand at the $6 million range?
Until I have a budget in front of me and see what the proposed budget is, and financial statements, I would like to think it would be, but I'm not gonna give you a definitive answer until I have some numbers that I can crunch.
Okay.
Mr. Riley, listen, I appreciate you coming up today, and I think anyone who comes up here who wants to speak is always welcome, so I appreciate that, I actually applaud that. You know, I think from my first day, I said I was always going to use an open mind, an open ear, and an open heart. When you ask some of these questions, and I think they are good questions, you know, you ask about the business industry, and let's be honest, it's one of the most important, positions in our town. You know, the most important board in our town is school board, which I think we can all agree with, and our most, important positions are business administrator. So we have put some candidates up. We are actively looking for somebody. We think we did find somebody. We did propose that person to the mayor. The mayor is reviewing that. At this point, she has not chosen that person. I'm hoping that this happens in a timely manner. I think it's important. Listen, 50,000 people are represented in this town, right? And this is such an important position. It's so important that people understand that this position is, like I said, the most important position here in town, right? There's nothing more important. So like I said, I appreciate you coming. We did establish a new council room to have meetings just like this one, where you and any resident is welcome to come, speak, and see us. You know, we'll even come to your home. It sounds crazy, but we'll come to your home. We'll sit down. If you feel most comfortable there. You know, this administration is going to be different than any other administration in the past. We're going to answer your questions. We're not going to let you sit down. There's not going to be any silence. And we're not going to be silenced. So I applaud you for coming up. I will have some answers soon, but continue to ask these questions because they're important. Residents do need to know. We do need a business administration. We are running out of time. It is an important position here. And every day that we don't have one is leaving the town, a little less than it needs to be, right? You know, we're a town that we work together. We can accomplish anything. You know, one of the craziest things was, I started going on some of these social media apps and putting things out there and said to residents, call me, text me. I can't tell you how many emails and texts and calls. I want them to continue. Even if it's something that you're not happy about, it's okay. Okay, I want to hear about them. You know, even today, our sign entering our town was hit by a car, right? Residents sent us a picture. Council President and I were together. We took pictures of it. Public Works got right out there. So we're working together. Chiefs in the audience, we were working together. We were on the phone with each other on a constant basis. We're not here. I mean, when we were in this building, a lot of us are here 5 days a week. You know, Councilman Yerkes is actually here 6 days. He's actually been here on Saturdays. They're actually down here on a Saturday when the building is closed, meeting with residents. So I want all residents to know this is something different. You and every resident should be able to come up here and ask us questions. We're going to answer them. If we don't have the answer, we'll get you the answer. So I appreciate you coming up here about this. I do think we need to find this. I do think, Mayor, we need to kind of get our search going. I do think we need to move forward with this. It's so important. And I do ask every resident, please, Mr. Rouse, come up and ask questions. And let's work on it together. So I appreciate you. I hope that answers some of your questions. I will be available afterwards if you'd like to speak to me.
Do I hear that you put names of candidates in front of the mayor?
Yes.
So the process of interview is ongoing?
So we put some candidates in front of the mayor. The mayor did some interviews. We did ask for somebody for experience. We wanted somebody that could understand that we have a lot going on, so we wanted somebody that had experience. We did put some names in front of the mayor. A couple people did have experience. A couple people dropped out. One candidate that the mayor doesn't seem to want to move forward with, and we're continuing that
What
search.
did the mayor have to say?
I don't want to discuss properly what we discussed, but at this time, the mayor didn't feel that was the right candidate. I disagree. I can't speak for anybody else but myself. Like I said, I think this is an important job. We need somebody who has the ability to do the job, who's been in the job before. This is a large town. The community is represented properly. So in that, we'll continue to look for somebody.
If the mayor will appoint a person, would you vote for it? Or
Yes. Yes, I would.
Thank you.
Thank you.